I fear that our kids are becoming desensitized to it.
What is abnormal is beginning to look like it's normal.
Housing is just getting so unaffordable.
The promise of millions of dollars to transform Atlanta's West Side is years in the making to undo generations of hopelessness. The four predominantly African-American neighborhoods where 53% of the homes are vacant and almost half the population lives below the poverty line is uniquely troubled.
I was around here in the 80s when the crack epidemic hit this neighborhood.
Tim Freeman has watched decades of neglect from his front porch and hears the promises now.
I listened to the proposals. They sound wonderful if they're going to go down just like promised.
This neighborhood has heard promises for decades since the Georgia Dome was built. This time, the engine driving the effort is the nonprofit, the Westside Future Fund. And now the fear is the effort to transform the West Side may be too successful, driving out low-income residents. The executive director, John Aumann, hears the skepticism and the fear of gentrification.
In many cases, it's been gut-wrenching. To hear the challenges they're facing, it puts a real sense of obligation, real sense of urgency.
A lot of people in this community have been on what we call survival mode.
State Representative Mabel Thomas has lived here all her life.
What is abnormal is beginning to look like it's normal. It is not normal to have this many homeless people walking around in your community and people who are renters at the threat of homeless at any time.
And homelessness is visible. Minnie shares Sophia's story.
Well, really, I'm looking for a house, a home for me and my kids. Right now, I'm homeless.
We were here before Mercedes-Benz came along. Don't get me wrong, I believe in change.
Laura Lawson believes the fear of gentrification really kicked in when the billion-dollar stadium went up.
Housing is just getting so unaffordable. It's getting so unaffordable.
In addition to $200 million in investments, the city says homeowners will be protected by the anti-displacement tax fund that will cover property tax increases for homeowners for the next 20 years.
As more people move into the West Side, Vine City and English Avenue, people who've been there the entire time don't get pushed out.
But fewer than 500 homes on the West Side are owner-occupied. Thousands more are rentals. We asked if there is any protection for current renters, and the Westside Future Fund says that part hasn't been figured out yet.
More people come in, property values rise, not everyone can stay. So there's a real concern in the neighborhoods that, hey, we want the neighborhoods revitalized, but we also want to stay.
Besides displacement concerns, there's also an initiative to increase police presence.
Historically, it's been a very challenged area.
In an area with a sometimes troubled relationship with law enforcement.
You can't arrest your way out of these problems, right? Because these are not crime problems, per se. I mean, they start farther back into, people just being born into poverty.
The city has backed a program to build houses for Atlanta police officers on the West Side, so they're integrated into the neighborhoods.
And so not only will they provide a sense of security to the neighborhood, but we're creating this connectedness to the neighbors themselves.
While the city of Atlanta tries to steer the West Side in the right direction, community members like Charles Brown are attending all the meetings so the rich history of the community doesn't get compromised in the process.
These people over here are some of the greatest people I've ever met, believe it or not. For a spirit-wise.
So the daunting task to transform these aging neighborhoods has started.
And I have a deep love and passion for the way the people here survive and still love each other.
With a promise to keep the people of the West Side in the West Side. Naima Abdullahi, 11 Alive News.